Aneen, and welcome back to Niiji Sobriety Chat. Um, Today we're going to talk a little bit about trauma and a little bit of my story. Now, anybody that's talked to me knows that I'm of the definite opinion that 99% of all substance use and abuse is rooted in some form of trauma. Some of us, trauma in a little later in life. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, begins in childhood. And myself, I was taken away from my parents, raised by my grandparents, who, like all abusers on the outside, seem like very nice people, but behind closed doors is another thing. I was physically, psychologically abused, sexually abused by a neighbor. And, a lot of this, when I was growing up, my whole childhood was, nothing but anxiety and fear. Um, Sometimes I didn't even know what I was getting in trouble for or why I was getting beaten. Um, and so this kind of set the steps for my first substance use was at age 9, and that was with Valium. I remember, because back then we'd all sit down and watch TV together. There's only 4 channels, so Sunday night we're watching 60 Minutes, and they're doing a piece on Mother's Little Helper. And because I was a curious kid, I knew that my grandmother had, back then nothing was connected by computers because there just wasn't any. My grandmother had 3 different prescriptions for Valium from 3 different doctors in 3 different cities. Now, I remember one of the women on 60 Minutes when they asked her why, and she said, "I just want to feel happy." As a child, and this is sad that I was that unhappy as a child that I was like, oh, here's a pill that will give you the emotion of happiness. I didn't equate chemical happiness to anything at that age. And then from then on, that led to experimentation with other stuff, alcohol, speed, weed. By the end of high school, when I left the house, I getting fucked up was pretty much a daily part of my life. And now for success in my recovery, I did abstinence at first, and I kind of not have, went through treatment. I didn't realize that there were certain aspects which led to substance use, like trauma. And in the beginning, even though I was abstinent, I was not feeling very happy, struggling with depression a lot. And, I was doing like a lot of good things in life, but I was not able to appreciate how well that should made me feel. So at a certain point, I started seeing a shrink. When I was at my old job, I started there, and then of course, the beauty of insurance, because I switched new jobs, that wouldn't cover my whole shrink, so I ended up going to the VA, my shrink there is like really good, and we work through some of the things of childhood trauma and some adult trauma. As you know, I'm a military vet. Um, I'll tell you, I was a mess when I went in the military. It was even a bigger mess when I came out. And years and years of substance abuse. Looking for chemical happiness, and but the traumas in our life is something that needs to be addressed, whether you're doing that through treatment or on your own, seeking some kind of counseling. That is so important. I cannot emphasize how important that is. And that's why I feel that I am successful in my recovery, is just because of being able to go back and work through these unfortunate traumas in my childhood. I could deal or delve into how bad and harsh things were, but let's just I'm preaching to the choir here. A lot of us have went through a lot of hell when we were growing up. No matter what that was, but that's where our trauma originates at, and in order to be able to find some true happiness, that's something that I needed to deal with. And that is one of the best decisions I've ever made in my whole life. So, with that being said, I hope these words help you out. Put down your tobacco, ask Creator for some guidance, because Creator will give you guidance. And until next week, Gig Wobman.